Yeah. Well, entrepreneurship is a lonely road, and of course, even if you're around entrepreneurs, you're all at different stages. And, you're, I always say like money is like medicine, right? So you have to treat it very delicately. It's the same thing with a lawyer. They come to know you intimately, right? All of the things. So yeah, I always say, relationships are a form of currency. And yeah, relationships are a form of currency, and one of your most important assets is your reputation, right?
Hey, I'm Pam Pryor, and this is the Cash Flow Podcast. We're going to talk about everything related to money in your business. Without further ado, let's hop right in. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cash Flow Podcast. We're in luck because this is another one of our Know Your Map segments. If you remember correctly, this is where we really celebrate the power of relationships, both in our businesses and in really helping us learn from our failures and grow as entrepreneurs. So think about people from your known mentors to kind of those unexpected surprises of people. We're going to talk to one of those today who come across your path. And the fact that these connections are really more than just support, they bring human connection and are so critical to us and our businesses and cash flow success. So without further ado, let's jump right in. I have here my wonderful friend, Justine, and we're going to learn a little bit about how we met. But let me give you some background and you'll know instantly why I love her. She is a bookkeeping expert, business mentor, and a proud mom of 3 kids. And against all the odds, as many of us have, she's built a successful bookkeeping agency. She serves world renowned galleries and artists and some of the most successful entrepreneurs in the online business space. So, a compatriot of mine, and I'm so glad we're getting to chat. She grew her business to a recognizable brand with over 100 clients and a team of 12. She's optimized her business systems, harnessed her tech and her talent as her firm really now does what a lot of us want our firms to do sometimes and runs virtually without her. She sold that business in early 2023 to her dream buyer, and now she is focusing on her new vision, which is helping the world by helping people. In that vision and through her program, Bookkeeper's Business Incubator, she's leading from her chandelier clad backyard, which I'm going to have to see a picture of, she shed. And it's Justine's heart and soul's mission to make bookkeepers and accountants, especially mama birds like she was, it is, from broken, burnt out to prosperous and at peace. So without further ado, Justine, welcome.
Hello, Pam. Thank you so much for having me. I am delighted to reconnect with you and talk shop, which is one of my favorite things to do.
I love it and how we know each other. We were just talking about that, and our introduction goes way back to 2020. And you have been in my relationship map, of course, ever since then. And the thing that I love about this is I often get asked by people, and I'm sure you do too, and I'm curious what your take is on this is, who's your competition? Know your competition. Don't share what you know, keep your secrets, all that stuff. And you and I feel a little bit differently about this. So we have 2 businesses that could potentially be competitors. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, I believe in the power of prosperity. And
Amen.
I believe that there's enough business for everybody. I should have these stats. I just looked them up the other day, but the number of businesses created each year in comparison to the number of bookkeepers there are is
I love that.
exponential. So I think it's something like 20 million businesses are started a year. We can look up the stats.
Yep.
Versus, I think there's 5.7 million bookkeepers in America, and many of them are employed.
Wow.
They're
So they're
not.
doing it on the side anyway.
They're full time at wherever they are doing
Yep.
their bookkeeping job. So
That is amazing. And then
and
granted, a lot of businesses get started that are just paper or holding companies, but even if you allow for that, that's a great statistic. And frankly, I think that's why you and I hit it off. Like it never occurred to either of us that we were competition when we met. It was, oh, cool. So you've got a vibe that's going to rock with some people. I've got a vibe and focus on some things, and we're going to be able to share both information and it's a rising tide thing. And it's such a change that I think a lot of the folks we work with are starting to really recognize. And it's one of those differences from the corporate world to now that I just love is that there just isn't competition. It's all what you make of it.
Yeah. My other take on this from an industry perspective is many bookkeepers and accountants I know aren't taking on new business. Or if they are, they're being very choosy about it.
Hmm.
And I think that the small business world is going to have a moment where they realize, oh, wait, I can't just switch service providers willy nilly. And
It's
that's not,
not a commodity.
it's not a smart idea anyway.
Yep.
But I think that sort of the number of professionals that are in the industry to the need for the actual service is outpacing.
Hmm. I
So
agree.
that's another reason why I don't really think that the competition is an issue. But you said something really important, which reminds me of something a mentor of mine said years ago. She said, you know what the thing about people is? It's not all people are your people. And that's fine.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Exactly, because
Yes.
there's plenty to go around, and the interesting thing about that is I think there's a dynamic happening completely, especially with bookkeeping, and that is there's kind of 2 or 3 things here that I wanna touch on and see how you feel about it, but one is that there are bookkeepers out there that go through programs like yours or programs like mine, and they become bookkeepers who understand the accounting equation and understand how important that is and understand how to get your books to fit an entrepreneur's business model and all of those things. And then there's a whole set of folks who call themselves bookkeepers who have literally whipped through a certification and really know nothing except how to book
Correct.
transactions. So what happens to a lot of entrepreneurs is they get pulled in by, you can go basically hire a bookkeeper off of QuickBooks, and there's no real they don't spend the time to really look at the differences in experience and qualifications, and they'll grab it like a commodity. Oh, there's a good one,
Yeah.
25 bucks an hour and I can have everything done. And the truth of the matter is, what that will often lead to, if you haven't found the right bookkeeper, is having to get everything redone, caught up, balanced,
Yeah.
etc. And
Yeah.
like but on the other hand, I think that entrepreneurs have had a lower level of appreciation for really good bookkeepers than
100%.
they deserve, and that's because you can't tell the difference from an entrepreneur's seat, right?
So I call that the $20 an hour Craigslist bookkeeper.
Yes, I love that. Great expression.
Yes.
Yes.
And I dealt with that a lot during my sales calls, um, where it's like, well, I don't understand why you're charging X per hour, versus this person over here. And it's because you're paying for the guarantee of the quality of service.
Right.
Um,
And then
I
nothing's gonna be missed, and the controls will be in place,
and
and
Yeah, and one of the things that I think can really benefit people or benefit bookkeepers is educating people. I'm a huge fan of client education,
yeah.
how you build relationships. But I would get on sales calls and somebody would say this to me, and I'd say, okay, well, you know what? Here, I might not be your person, but I'm going to share this with you because you're a small business owner and I'm a small business owner. And let me tell you the sorts of questions you should be asking when you're vetting
Yep.
bookkeepers. And I might not, I wouldn't say it so crassly. I don't need your business, but I don't really need your
But here's
business.
what you need to make
But
sure
here's what
you
you need to
get.
know. Like, are they going to reconcile your accounts?
Mhm.
What sort of errors and omissions policy do they have? What sort of industries do they specialize in? What happens if they get sick or go on maternity leave or have a crisis in their family? Because a lot of times bookkeepers will disappear.
Mhm.
And so I think if you can educate a client on how to vet those people, then it
Yep.
shows um, that you're invested in them from the beginning,
Yeah.
right? One distinction I do want to make is I don't actually teach people how to do bookkeeping.
You
What
teach
I
them how to run the
I
business the
teach
right
them
way.
the art of
Yeah.
running a bookkeeping or accounting firm, which is
Yeah.
very specialized.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of one of the things that we address in our certification is there's the layer of technical skill that you really want people to have, but
Yep.
then there's a layer of and a coach of mine called it EQ, and I think that is exactly kind of such an important thing about the relationship that you have with the clients you're selling to, but also in understanding kind of what's important and the ability to apply judgment as a bookkeeper, and kind of where those boundaries are. But then how do you make money as a bookkeeper? because you can sell your soul to the devil and never get out. And even I don't. I'm guessing this might have happened to you as you grew, but I maybe not. It did to me. I took on engagements that ended up being way unprofitable because I
Yeah.
didn't understand the the extent to which we are people pleasers as bookkeepers.
So I inherently believe that bookkeepers as a whole are perfectionists.
Yeah.
Right? This is why we go in, or people who go into accounting, we're perfectionists, right? We like things that are black and white. I once said that numbers are my mooring in life, right?
Oh, I
Is how I,
like that. You can always count on them.
yeah, like, yeah, it's what grounds me. Um, so you have to go through those really challenging experiences to figure out A, who your ICA is, your ideal
Yep.
customer avatar, and B, how to price things profitably.
Yep.
One of the things that I see a lot is that we are fantastic at taking on that CFO, financial advisor, bookkeeping team member role, except we don't bring that back into our own businesses. We are not wearing
Right.
the CEO hat in our own businesses.
Brilliant.
That- it's really important, right? We'll reconcile our books last. We won't get, we won't raise prices for fear of defection.
Hmm.
We won't analyze numbers, and I'm a huge fan of time tracking because
Oh,
time
absolutely. We
time
do
is
it
our
once a quarter for 2 weeks solid just to see what's going on in everybody's
I'm a little bit
world. Yep.
more of a an advocate than once a quarter, but whatever works for you. The point
Yep.
is that time is our inventory.
Yep.
So you have to count it to measure the profitability.
Hmm. Absolutely true. If you're paying by the hour, you do. You absolutely do.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I think our business models are slightly different too, and that's kind of a cool thing because that works for some. Your method works for some. My method works for other. But one of the things that the main reason I wanted to have you here is that I talk a lot about relationships and how they really become what our business is. It's not about
God, yes.
transactional stuff, and we've been kind of in each other's periphery here since 2020. And I just have a couple of questions for you around relationships and kind of your relationship map and how it's worked in your business. So I think that what I'd ask is kind of when you think about your entrepreneurial journey,
Mhm.
who's the very first person in your kind of relationship map that really had an impact on your trajectory? So you've made, massive progress in your business, like massive success. I mean, I really hold you up and admire what you've done. You've grown way faster than I have in a very structured and successful way. So, but
There
what
were
was the
ugly parts too. Let's
well, oh, absolutely, we all have them, but, like,
Yeah.
what was that aha moment, and who was it who helped you go, "Wait a minute, I'm onto something here, and I'm gonna grow this out?"
So do you mean from a client perspective or a mentor slash coach perspective?
Anybody kind of in your that you have, like, to me, relationships are on the gamut from friends and family to vendors to people like us who meet and hang on together
So
and
many, so
yeah.
many.
Like, was there a moment or somebody who, like, really encouraged or set off an idea in you about your business?
So I didn't build my business. I didn't land in that and say, "Oh my god, I have this great idea and I'm going to build a business." Like it was out of necessity
Yeah,
and fate.
love
So
it.
I got fired from a job. I went down to my friends. We drank a glass of wine. I poured my heart out. She's like, "Oh, why don't you come to and be my office assistant?" And I had a little bookkeeping experience, and that was the very first client of Good Sons. Um, and because it was the rise of the dot com, this is like the mid to late 90s. This was the rise of the freelancer as we know it. It was when
Got it. Yep, I
corporations,
remember this.
yeah, start. So all of a sudden, I just had a ton of clients because everybody was freelancing. Um, so I said, okay, well, this is much better than waitressing. And I could make a lot more money. And I just had a preternatural talent for it. It just was
Nice, it
something
came
that it
naturally.
just came naturally. Um, but then fast forward, I don't know how many years it is. It's probably almost 10 years, not 10 years, but maybe 5 or 6 years. And I had my first daughter. And And I decided I was going to make a real go of it. And then I had my son, we left the city, and I hired my first employee. But speaking to relationships, a couple of things happened. One, my oldest client that stayed with me was with me when I sold my firm for almost 20 years.
Wow.
So think about the LCV on that, the lifetime customer value of
Wow.
that person. And he's a
Wow.
dear friend. So one of the things that made Good Sense very attractive to buyers was the fact that we had a very, very low churn rate
Got
on
it.
both the client side and on the employee side. So this is
See, and that's where to me, you must be a relationship expert because
I
that is gold.
I really my mantra is we can be people-centered, profit-focused,
I love it. I
right?
love it. Yeah,
So it's
people
people-centered,
centered.
profit-focused. It is all about ethical leadership.
I love it.
So, and that's not to say all of my client relationships were great, right? We have these mismatches, but the ones that were, I really cultivated them. We did all sorts of things for our clients over the years. If I made a mistake, I took responsibility for that. I
Bingo.
owned it. I apologized. I credited back money when I needed to. But when you take that sort of level of responsibility, people, it's so refreshing because people abscond
They
responsibility.
do, and it makes you feel better. Like I
Oh
find that like
yeah.
anytime I think like sometimes clients are wrong about refunds. It just happens.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times that you can't give them because
Absolutely.
it's just not
Yeah.
right. And those, even though you know you're right, it doesn't really kind of matter. They still nag at you. But when you're able to say, "Hey, I made a mistake. I'm going to refund this, or I'm going to knock something off your bill to cover that, or whatever," it really is cool because then you know you've done the right thing.
Yeah.
They're utterly surprised. They have no idea that that would ever happen. They're just not used to it. And I love that approach. So yeah, so it kind of evolved. Is that what you're saying? Like where was the aha that said I want to help bookkeepers do this better? I want to sell this business and now move like what drove that?
I just want to add something one thing here in terms of
Oh yeah,
what
cool.
informed sort of my philosophies. And the thing that comes to my mind is my father was a union leader and he was a blue collar worker. And he told me once when I was a teenager, he said, the most important thing that you can do is be able to get up in the middle of the night and look at yourself in the mirror and have a clear
Mm,
conscience. So
amen.
that has really informed my life, all
I
areas
love it.
of life. So here I was trudging along, building the business, building the business, building the business. And, every year we just had consistent growth. So I didn't have I didn't go from zero to $1 million.
Right.
Every year was consistent growth, except for 2014, where we had a number of family things happen.
Oh,
But
gotcha.
anywhere between 8 and 15%. It's like almost works like compound interest. So
Another thing that a buyer likes to see,
yeah, like
consistency instead of spikes.
exactly. So and low defection, right? Low
Yep.
client churn.
Yep.
So after 2020, it was an incredibly hard year. I don't know what
Mhm.
happened in your corner, but in my corner, all of the accounts disappeared, and we ended up with all of the
Well, you
pieces.
work with artists, right? Mostly?
There's a huge chunk of our business that was artists.
That's every artist client I had fell off the map.
Yeah. So, but no, we ended up like our workload doubled because
Yes.
we were helping our clients get these loans and secure their businesses.
Yep. It changed. The nature of the job changed.
Yeah, so I just really left 2020 completely burnt out. In
Uh,
January of 2021, I was at a plateau. I joined Michael Hyatt's Business Accelerator program.
ah,
He just sunset in December, but I knew that I needed to all right, well, what's next? And he was an incredible influence on me. Um,
cool.
and the business continued to grow, and it was getting bigger and bigger. And then I had a couple of bad hires that happened.
Got it.
And then I had one employee who defected, and when she left, just a tsunami. Like it just
Got it.
really rocked the business, and I was not used to that. I mean, all of my I would say not all of them. I would say 90% of the employees who have worked with me when they have left have given me a love letter, have communicated with
Gotcha.
me. I was not used to this tumult.
Yes.
Instantly left.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And I was burned. I was burned out after 2020. I had been in the bookkeeping business for almost 16 years. One of my excellent employees, and I always said to her, I said, every day I get to work with you is a blessing. I knew she
Oh,
was leaving. She was a young woman. And she gave her notice, and it was like the Lion King moment. And
got it.
she just brought so much joy to my life. And I was like,
Yep.
oh, I have to do this without her.
Not
So
much drama from accountants, right?
yeah, it was like this Lion King moment where it was just like,
Yep.
you just
I'm
don't want to.
alone. I'm
It just,
alone.
yeah. Oh, no, it's really that in the Lion King, it's like, it is time. And
Yes.
I had actually prior to 2020, just before it, I had been courted blindly by a firm who was looking to build their bookkeeping practice. And I had gone through not not due diligence, but we had really tried to negotiate. I had tried to exit in 2020 because I was just
Got it.
percolating on that.
Yep.
And their offer just was nowhere near what I knew it was worth.
Got it.
And so it was always percolating, but that was kind of the moment. And that was
Got
in
it.
May of 2022. And because I think in my subconscious I knew this, in February of 2022, we did the beta launch of Bookkeeper's Business Incubator.
Ah, okay.
So I
That
knew
makes
it was
sense.
I knew it was a viable option. I knew that I had an exit plan. I knew that I could still stay connected to this industry that I love so much.
Love it.
And I had a plan because I'm a planner. So
Because that's what you do.
that's what I do. So yeah, so that's how that all came together.
Oh, that's perfect. Now, for the Bookkeeper's Business Incubator, so did some of your employees convert into that? Or
No, so Bookkeepers Business Incubator is really driven towards people who are solopreneurs or side hustlers or are in a founder place and they want to grow and scale their
yeah,
business.
but they're already bookkeepers. They've
They're
decided
already
this is what they want to do.
decide
Gotcha.
what they want to do. Because like I said, I don't teach the skill of bookkeeping. I teach
Yep.
the business skills.
Got it.
And all of my employees, when I sold my firm, went over to the new firm. And I think that's in part because I focused on fit.
Got it.
To me, it was all about who is the best partner to become the new steward of my people and my clients.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. And that transition went pretty smoothly for you?
It went very well. I mean, the selling your business is a wild ride,
Yes, it
like
is.
it was like a hokey pokey. I was like, I'm in, I'm out, I'm in.
Yep. And
I
then
went
have like this word has to change. That word has to change.
yeah.
Oh God,
And
yes.
my lawyer, who was with me for 10 years, she was like, Justine, what are you doing? Like, you wanted to sell for a while. Like, you have a wonderful opportunity. Like, just
Do it.
like, yeah, stay the course, girl. So
Yeah, we can sabotage ourselves in those moments.
that's where really good, important relationships come from. I mean, had this
Yes.
not come from, she's now retired. Her name is Nina Kaufman. Had this not come from my attorney, who I worked with for 10
There
years,
you go.
who knew me inside and out, saw the ups, downs, sideways of the business, knew my personality, had that
Perfect.
advice not come from her, maybe I would have stepped back, which I don't think would have been a good idea for me.
Yep.
Um,
That
so
is why this is kind of this. I want to unpack that a minute because
yeah,
what you said is so important. Like we can roll through our life and our business and just do things mechanically and may or may not succeed. But it is those people and those relationships that pop up. And that's what I really want to dive into this one. So you had known this attorney for 10 years.
yep.
How did you originally meet? Business or friendship or?
So, and this might be how we met, I think. So we were all part, geez, I'm trying to think. It's so long ago now. Like
Yeah,
a
I
flow.
know.
So Nina, I think, really first came on my trajectory through a woman named Patty Lennon,
Okay.
who had,
Yes.
who had
Yep.
a conference called Mom Gets a Business.
Yep.
And Nina was a speaker and I was a panel facilitator. I think that might have helped. And there was also
Got
a
it.
company called In Good Company, which was
Yep.
like the first WeWork in New York City, WeWork model, and it was only for
Yep.
female business owners. So she was on my radar, and then I hired her to become my
See.
business attorney. And
And
so,
this is why you keep track of, not you, but like, it's not like you keep track of people transactionally, but people that you have a vibe with. And I know if you met through Patty,
yeah,
that means that she knew that you guys were, gonna, not you in particular, but in general, she curates a room that
yes,
everybody fits and feels at home in. And, though it's those people, that's what we really try and highlight here to just tell people, pay attention to those relationships where even if you think I would never work with this person because I won't need it, but we have this really strong connection, make note of those connections because you never know. This one person, because of that one meeting 10 years or however many years before,
Yeah.
said, "Hey, you're sabotaging yourself." And there's only a few people we can really trust to have those talks with us.
Yeah. Well, entrepreneurship is a lonely road,
Yeah.
and of course, even if you're around entrepreneurs, you're all at different stages. And,
Yep.
you're, I always say like money is like medicine, right? So you have to treat it very delicately. It's the same thing
Yep.
with a lawyer. They come to know you intimately,
Yes.
right? All of the things. So yeah, I always say, relationships are a form of currency. And
Absolutely. I love that.
yeah, relationships are a form of currency, and one of your most important assets is your reputation,
Hmm.
right? So treating people with respect, treating people with kindness, um, knowing when to walk away, knowing when to pull somebody into your life or not, keeping up those boundaries.
Yep.
But to your point, I love the expression, you only fly as high as the flock you're with.
Yeah.
And, we
Exactly
really,
right.
yeah. So,
And you all fly better if you're flying in a pack instead of
yeah, you're
wandering
a
off
dynamic.
and yeah, and it was a hard lesson to learn 'cause I remember when I came out of corporate, I was pretty confident I'd knock out this entrepreneur thing just like I'd knocked out corporate. In fact, you might not call it confident, you might call it arrogant.
Mm,
And,
fine line.
I learned very quickly, no, you don't do this alone. And that's why it's so awesome and different. So see, I was trying to figure out what was it that made this work. How could you do business right? Like I knew there are great things about corporate. I loved it. I had a great career. I will never regret it.
Yeah.
However, I always in the back of my head said business can be done right.
Yeah.
And it didn't occur to me till 2 or 3 years in that what that meant was exactly what you said, and I love the way you put it, and I've gotta find the exact words, people-centered, profit-focused,
Yep.
because you need both. And if
Yeah.
you don't have the balance, then, profit first all the time is a corporate nightmare. People first all the time is an entrepreneur's nightmare.
Yeah.
Balanced out, we've got it
Well,
made, and is that what you're teaching the bookkeepers really how to manage through that a little
yeah, I
bit?
think we touch on it. I think one of the pieces of advice, because I know that you speak a lot to business owners, is which is why one of my first business mentors was Angela Gia Kim, and Patty and I were in my very first mastermind together. That was in 2012,
Okay.
and she said, "Never throw money at a problem." Meaning, if you have a problem person, it's not the money. And
Oh
I
my
think
god, that's
a
so
lot
true.
of people make that mistake, and I made that. That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah.
For
Everybody's gonna make it though, because you don't that's one of those things that you can hear, and I know I heard it, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's you, that's not me." And
yeah.
then, "Oh, that's true."
Yeah, I mean, if you start paying out competitively and being fair from the beginning, that's not the issue. If there's a performance issue, there's a performance issue.
Right.
That's a mismatch of skills, that's a mismatch of values, that's a
Yep.
mismatch of a job and a person. But it's not at its core a money problem.
Yeah, and I think yeah, I think that's really true. I mean, most money problems are not at their core money problems. But one of the things that jumps out at me is that entrepreneurship really, I think, exposes us, and you just reminded me of this, of the fact that we have to be self-aware. That we become self-aware by default. Like I have learned more about myself than I have about anything else in the last 6 or 7 years during entrepreneurship. And what I'm curious about is like, what is one of the most significant things you've learned about you or how you've grown as a person in being aware of yourself? Like what's something that pops out for you that has come to light or that you do differently now than you did before, just as a result of being an entrepreneur and the people that you know in this process?
Well, I think you make an excellent point, and I I am well. First of all, my number one core value is constant evolution. Right? I always want to be
Ha,
better,
I love that.
better tomorrow than I am today.
Mine is always grow. So we're the
So better,
same. Yep.
simpatico. Um, and radical self reflection is absolutely part of that process.
Love that.
And so I am such a different person than I was when I started. When I started, I was hot headed. If somebody was like, "Oh, my books aren't right." I'm like, "What are you talking about? They're not right." Or like, or if I failed, it was somebody else's fault. And really the only way that you can get better is to radically reflect on whatever the problem is in your life
Mhm.
and figuring out how to do it better.
That's brilliant. And
So,
even when you feel like there is every reason to blame it on so many other things, there's one thing you can control, and that's what you can learn from it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like very into Stoic philosophy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The only thing you can control is yourself. You can't control other people. You can't control outside circumstances, but you can control how you react to that
Yeah.
circumstance. So, really, to me, it's been about cultivating leadership. I think in the beginning, I took on like a real, like, I vacillated between being like a boss, which is like a jerk boss, and being like oh, everything's cool and I want to be everybody's friend. And like, there's definitely an art to that, like learning
There really is.
the leadership component of it, where, I fully believe, and I think the science supports this, that, the more autonomy people have in their lives, the happier they are. So
Yeah.
when I would be interviewing people to come into Good Sense, I would ask them, well, design your dream job for me. Like, what does it actually look like? Because almost my entire team was moms.
Ah, okay.
So if I could hear what they needed in their dream job, right? The ability to go to the school stuff in the middle of the day,
Mhm.
to not get worried that they were going to get fired because of a snow day.
Right.
To
Kid's gonna be sick, whatever it
Yeah,
might
and
be.
if I could hear that, then I could create the environment within reason to do that. Um, so that was a huge thing. Listening to customer feedback. Customer
Love it.
complaints are gold.
Gold. They're
They're
gold
gold,
mines.
because
Yep.
that's how you get better,
I
you
love
know.
that.
Apologizing. You're gonna have a bad day. You're gonna snap out on somebody. You're not gonna be your best person. And when that happens, the first thing is radical self-reflection and then
Mhm.
ownership and then not doing it again, right? Like we don't want an empty
But
apology.
yeah, for the s
I-
at the same thing,
yeah.
you get something from that radical self-reflection,
Yeah.
and I think that's right. Now, remind me, were you in corporate before you did okay, so you
No.
yeah.
I
So
like baptism by fire. So I completely self-taught myself bookkeeping.
wow.
This was like my first foray. Well, I started in a furniture store and I was like a gal Friday and somebody taught me a little bit about QuickBooks
Got it.
before banking feeds, before online banking. That's how I
Oh, right. Yep.
and I was
Probably still desktop, yeah.
oh, was still desktop.
Mhm.
And no, I'm serious. I had to do manual data entry for
Oh, yeah, I'm
a very long
sure.
time. Um, And I was so poor at the time that I would go to Barnes and Noble and read books about accounting on the floor in New York City.
I love this.
So then I just got these freelance clients and I decided, I was around all these artists and I built up a really nice business. I got a really strong toehold in the fashion world. Any major fashion photographer, I probably worked for them at some point.
I love it.
And I didn't even graduate college until 2010, which is well after Good Sense was formed. It took me
Wow.
17 years to get an associate's degree.
Tells you a little
Um,
bit about what actually drives a business as opposed to, a piece
yeah,
of paper and all of that. I mean, the learning is great because the more background you have, the better, but it
yeah,
isn't it isn't the piece of paper that makes it work, right?
it's a desire,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
is so
correct.
cool.
Hmm.
So now that you're doing this new work, are you back in running the business or are you leading and other people are running the business now? Like, have you evolved? Are you at the point where I don't want to get in it again?
For
Or
Bookkeepers Business Incubator,
yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit of both, right? Because a lot of it is content driven. So that's me, right? I can't
Yep.
outsource that component of it. I have two women on my team who are amazing.
Awesome.
One who helps me with marketing, one who helps me with ops stuff. So
Perfect. So you've got leads in each of those areas, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and we have some holes in our team on the tech side, so we're still looking, but I'm very choosy. So,
Yeah.
but my whole especially because bookkeeping is very taxing, right? Like I hate to even use the word taxing, but
Bad pun.
but I found it because of this perfectionism drive to be really draining, especially at the end because the accounts were getting more complex
Yep.
and everybody keeps adding laws, but they're not taking away laws. so,
Right. Yes.
uh, you know, so my intention with building out BBI is we're going to keep it light. We're going to keep it fun. Like I shared with you before we
Awesome.
started recording, my mantra is the more fun I have, the more money I make. You know,
Yep.
um,
Why I claim finance is fun.
finance is fun.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love that. And it's great for your bookkeepers too, because it's hopefully setting them up to have a more balanced for their own lives, a more balanced and happy life as a bookkeeper kind of freelancing out there.
Yes, to any of my bookkeepers listening, I am going to encourage you to take email off of your phone.
I love
Everybody,
that.
everybody told me that I was crazy, but I had this has got to be probably 2017. I was making dinner for my family. It was a weeknight, trying to get kids on, dinner on the table for the kids. And I got an email and I got fired from a client, right? Because it's part of entrepreneurship. We're on a constant hiring and firing thing.
Yep.
And I got so mad. I was so mad because it was a client that like it was no warning and it was definitely not performance driven. And I sat down at the table because I looked at the email when I was cooking
Mhm.
dinner. And I just sat down at the table and I was just a grump. I was just not the parent or the partner that I wanted to be. And we happened to be going on vacation the following week. And I said, well, I don't have the impulse control to not click the icon on my email. So I took email off my phone and I never put it back.
That is brilliant.
I think if we're going to talk about boundaries, there's no reason why it
It
has.
needs to be on your phone.
Yeah.
That is a great sentiment. And that would be like a great 5-day challenge.
You know what? So the thing is that we think that no, I can't do that.
Yep.
Really? Is that a
You
mindset?
can.
You really can't do that? Yep,
You
you
know,
absolutely can.
it's a
And
decision. It's interesting. It's reminding me of a time that I was like working every weekend and all the days and all the nights. And I'm like, rah, 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 rah. And then whatever happened, I just finally said, oh, I'm taking the weekend off. And it occurred to me, and these words came out of my mouth that they're just ridiculous now in retrospect, but oh, the only way to take a day off is to take a day off.
yeah.
And you just decide, I'm not working those days.
Yeah.
And everything still fits where it needs to fit.
Yeah, I can't remember that principle that work will expand into the time that you give it.
Yep. It
Yeah.
absolutely will.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had mentioned Michael Hyatt before, and I went through his business accelerator program for 2 years. And Michael's desire is that everybody, the double win, which is winning at work, succeeding at life. And he had the same sort of thing where he was a high performing executive and he had no boundaries between his business and his personal life.
Yep.
And he crafted a whole methodology around that. It's now evolved into the full focus method, which uses his
Oh,
planner.
yeah. I know it. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and I actually became a full focus certified pro in December
Oh,
because that
congrats.
thanks. So that, yes, it's because that methodology really helped me create the double win and create even more space than I had.
And
Um,
teach other people how to do the double win.
yeah. And it's now I'm remembering this. So Michael would teach his students about taking a sabbatical. Everybody says, I can't take a sabbatical.
Mhm.
But in May of 2021, I took a 7-week sabbatical and I completely came out of good sense. And part of it was like I felt like the employees were too dependent on me, and I was like,
Yep.
"Listen,
Oh
I'm
my
out.
gosh. We are just talking about that yesterday.
Yeah, I
Yep.
gotta go. Bye." And then part of it was I used that time to rest, but also start to sketch out the idea that would form into BBI.
Yep. Yep.
But all things are possible if you believe and then take action. Um,
Believe, decide, take action.
yes,
I
believe.
mean, that really, wow, that's a really good mantra. I'm going to drop that in here so we can pop that in the notes.
Yeah,
Believe, decide, take action. And that really is it. That's it for entrepreneurs kind of across the board, whether you're bookkeeping or a coach or an artist or whatever it is you're going to do. Believe, decide, take action, I think
yeah,
is just a mantra we should all have. So, one of the things that like as you evolve as an entrepreneur, from freelancer to overworked to having a scaled business to selling it to now doing another one, do you find that your relationships start to have more of an impact on your business as you move through the cycle, or you have more relationships? Like how have has that played a part? What I'm getting at here, and I'm not asking it well, is as we grow, a lot of times our relationships grow and or the people we're around are slightly different. Have you noticed either of those things happening as you've morphed into really now a successful multi-business owner?
Um, I mean, I'm a people person and a community builder, so I'm still really connected to a lot of the people from Good Sense.
Love it.
It's the only thing that I miss really about the business is I miss meeting with my clients. I miss my team desperately. They're all amazing women.
Yeah,
Um, I'm around different people in the sense where in my own entrepreneurial circles, I'm more in the digital marketing, tech, media sort of people. So I'm not
got it.
just around finance people, although I am a lot, like on LinkedIn and some of my Facebook groups and stuff that I'm in. But I have a broader range of the types of entrepreneurs that I'm dealing with as a personal level. Not that I'm
Yeah.
working for per se, but yeah. So that's changed.
Yeah,
The
that's
same
kind of
principles of cultivating relationships, you know,
for
is
the relationship's sake. And that's the thing. It doesn't always have to be like a predetermined outcome when you invest in a relationship. It's you're investing, like you said, that currency of your time and your energy. And to me, it's a whole, you know, universe kind of thing. Like it may or may not be that person that swings back and is there when you need them or says the right thing that makes a light bulb go off for you. But it is all participating in moving, making sure that you stay open. To me, it's making sure I stay open to relationships and the person behind the face that you might meet in an instant at a networking event.
I mean, I think I don't know where you fall on this spectrum, but I'm definitely I a lot of my stuff in my life or like how I operate is I operate a lot on instinct,
Hmm.
right? And I operate a lot on energy. And I think most people can smell in a second when you're just in it for your own self,
Whatever.
yeah,
Hmm.
making a profit, making a connection, making something off of that person. And
Yep.
maybe it just comes down to us like reading the energetic patterns, like not like I'm not even talking chakras. I'm talking the bits and O's that make up our
Yeah.
universe. Like
No, I actually,
the sense of disturbance in the force. Like
I
uh,
really like that, and we don't necessarily talk about how much we rely on our gut, but we do rely
no,
on our
I'm a
gut,
huge fan of it. I'm
and
a
it's a good, very rarely does it lead me wrong. The only place my gut leads me wrong is where I have already become aware I have a weakness, like for a certain, I don't know, personality type or something that I enjoy, but I know is ultimately going to be bad for me, kind of thing. Those sorts
yeah,
of
when you
things you
send
can.
for like the red flag client, but you're like, oh, but maybe I'll still take it on, and you go against your instinct, and then of course, 3 months, 6 months, whenever that relationship falls apart, you're like, what was I thinking? Why do I need to keep learning this lesson?
Bingo.
Yeah, um, yeah, and I think that overthinking becomes dangerous,
Duh. Yeah.
and especially as perfectionists, especially as women, we can second guess ourselves all the time. And I have a really great example here, if I can go sideways for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and I know that we probably have different pricing models, but I always like to say there's a pricing war in the accounting world. It's like, value or retainer based pricing or hourly based pricing.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I actually came up with a proprietary model, which is by my own design, called value plus pricing.
Oh, I like that.
And it's a combination of both of these systems. And so in 2010 or so, 11, um, it was like the rise of value based pricing. It was a cacophony of people and experts and like everybody coming and like wagging their finger at me either on the internet or in person, or like, you're not pricing right because you're not on value based pricing. And And I was like, but no, like I went through this whole thing and
It's
I
right. I've done the
I
numbers.
calculated between hourly and profit based, but the insecurity started to bubble up. These people, they're experts. I'm not a college graduate.
Ah,
What do
yep.
I
We
know?
all have those insecurities, don't
Like,
we?
oh my God, am I doing this wrong?
Ah,
So, you know what I did? I went out and hired a data analyst from Silicon Valley to prove my profit method. And he pulled all of the general ledger numbers, anonymized, pulled all of our time records, put it into his cauldron of data analysis software, and came back and he's like, I mean, when we sold the business, we had about a 76% profit margin.
that's hysterical.
So it just goes to show you, like, I had my instincts when I was like, I'm good. Like, I know this. I know but wait a second, maybe I don't know it. No, now I'm
Yep.
going to go out and spend thousands of dollars to somebody to
To
justify,
verify it for me.
which is
And it's
good,
true.
right? Because we need instinct, but we also need data. Like, we want to
Right.
be discerning. We want to be good leaders. We want to be CEOs.
It's
And
not all gut.
it's not all gut.
But on the other hand,
Trust but verify.
trust but verify. And the hard thing to me, one of the hardest things I've had to learn was when you listen to the other people pointing and wagging, and when you go, yeah, but I'm going to do that differently and I should. Like, where's that line between, oh, they know better than I do, they've been in this space for 10 years, and no, I'm going to be a disruptive here and use a different model. That's hard, and that comes with time in entrepreneurship as well, where you just figure out which things you can be confident in and which things you really need coaching on.
Yeah,
I got
Cohen.
coaching on everything. So I second guessed myself till the cows came home when I first started.
Yeah, and that's not just. I think the worst thing you can do is say that you know everything.
Right.
And the other thing is too, and to talk to coaching, because I've experienced this as a coach. I'm sure you have experienced this as a coach. Is people hire coaches and then they don't do what the coaches tells them to do,
I
and then they
know.
say, "But wait, it didn't work." And I just actually was on the phone with Michael Hyatt not long ago, and I was saying, your business accelerator completely changed my life, and he was like, why do you think that? And I said, because when I made the decision to join that program, I was on every Monday call, 10 o'clock sharp, every single Monday call, not towards the very end, because that's when I was in the thick of due diligence and everything, but
Gotcha.
I went to every single intensive or quarterly retreat. I mean, I took it and I implemented it. So it's like when you hire a coach, please do what the coach says.
Do what they say. Yep.
Do what
Yeah.
they say.
Oh, absolutely. And that's
Okay.
probably actually one of the more frustrating things on the CFO side of the business sometimes is that, and I've actually started to vet people for this on the sales calls or the initial consultation, is there are going to be things about this you are going to hate. And I need to know that you want to power through it. And if you do, I'm your gal, because I'll tell you what they are and I'll hold your hand through it and you'll come out with the outcome you're looking for. But I'm not going to fight you to do it. And
Yeah.
I fired a few clients that I found myself kind of fighting to get them to do what I knew they needed to do and just continuing to try and convince them, and I'm like, wait. No, I can't bring you to the water. If you come to the water, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also too, I think when you lead with integrity and somebody isn't working in concert with you,
Hmm.
it impacts your performance.
Yeah.
And
But
you want to
you
and
can't
you
help.
want to do a good job.
Yeah.
For
You can't help.
bookkeepers, a huge thing for us is our job is completely information based. So
Hmm.
when a client doesn't get us information, we can't do our job. So one of the things I coach my students on is, okay, well, if you have that client and I'm a huge advocate of online banking access, right? But it's not always possible. And even
Yep.
if it is, you still have to get other information from the client. I said, here's a really easy way you can explain it to your clients. You hire a contractor to come in and do your kitchen, except you don't give them plans, new counters, spackle, paint, hammers, saws. That's the same thing with bookkeeping. You can hire me to do a job, but unless you give me the tools to do the job, I can't
Yep.
complete it. And your case is, I'm giving you data that I've analyzed, and I think that you should make these changes in your business to get this result. And
Hmm.
they're not working with you. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It is. It's a very interesting dichotomy, I think, in that and people want advice, but they may or may not be ready to make the changes. And it's really, really interesting. So, all right, I want to wrap up. Oh my God, I've commanded so much of your time. This has been fantastic. Um, if there were one mentor of yours, and Michael Hyatt may be the one who has had kind of the most significant impact on you, who would it be, and what was the impact? And it may you're welcome to say, hey, asked and answered. It's Michael Hyatt kind of thing. I don't know.
I'd absolutely say that Michael Hyatt
That's
was
great.
he's just an incredible influence in my life. He's the reason I was able to sell the business that I was able to sell. He leads his life, both business and personally, with integrity. I would
Hmm.
100% say that. And I would say that I had one client. Her name, I had many clients, but this one in particular,
Yeah.
her name is Jody Katz. She has a company called Base Beauty Creative Agency. She just was always an incredible leader. Like from the very
Ah,
beginning, she was like, first of all, she was my complete ICA. I started working with her just as a consult for QuickBooks, and then became, um, just leading her whole finance department of her rapidly growing agency.
neat.
And she just always, her leadership style was always level headed, always strategic, relationship based. So she was a real incredible influence in terms of how I wanted to be a
Awesome.
leader. And I, again, she was a client who had been with me since,
Oh, was she the one client that was with you from the very, very
if
beginning?
not, that was my client, Tom, but she was with me probably since 2009. Yeah. So
Wow.
she was with me
Okay.
for a really long time. So
I love it.
just also an amazing person
Oh
that
my God. Well,
informed
this has
my,
been incredible. And
yeah.
the main message I want to get out here to, any mom who's doing bookkeeping, there is a way to do this business in a way that gives you the balance that you're looking for. And we will drop into the notes everything you need to know about how to get in touch with Justine and her program. And I can't thank you enough for being on here, because I think by doing what you're doing, you're spreading that mission of making finance fun and accessible for entrepreneurs. Because the better the bookkeepers are, the more attached the entrepreneurs will be to the finances, to understand that that's really the blood pumping to their heart, and they won't be scared of it as much anymore. So thank you
Yeah.
for kind of what you do for our profession, because I think we've earned a bad rap, but you're part of the solution. And I just, as a fellow finance person, I'm really grateful for what you're doing. So thank
I'm
you for being on.
I am always so delighted when I can find another finance person who's down to earth, who is really just people focused, profit centered, bringing the education to people, bringing the joy. Because when we strip away that distance, that's when we can create great partnerships, and that's when we create great
Brilliant.
businesses, and that's what changes the world.
I love
Right?
it.
That's my mission, right? I change the world through helping people. And
One
that's
business at a time. I love
one
it.
person at a time. And it's incredible, that ripple effect. So
And
thank you so much for having
you
me.
bet.
I'm
Thanks
thrilled
for
to say
being
that we're
on.
still connected after all these years. Thank you for being an incredible lady leader. And
And you as well. And we will continue to stay in touch.
yeah,
And definitely, folks, check out, if you're thinking at all about doing a bookkeeping business, you need to check out what Justine's doing. It's really inspiring, and it's how to do this the right way. There are many wrong ways to set up a bookkeeping business. In one ways that will stress you, that will drag you into things you don't want to be dragged into. And there are
yeah,
some things you can learn both technically and from the sort of EQ coaching side that I really encourage you to do, and so that you make sure you set your business up for success. So you all have a fantastic week. It's been great talking to you, and we'll see you next week on Cash Flow, everybody. Thanks again, Justine.
thanks, Pam. Have a great day.
You too. I hope that video was helpful, and I hope you subscribe to my channel for more information on finances in your business.